What's going on, guys? Arcade here with an episode of What Went Wrong. On this episode, we talk about what went wrong in Dark Souls 3. Now, let me first start off by saying Dark Souls 3 is an amazing game. It's one of my most played games this year, and it's elevated the Dark Souls series for me into being one of my favorite franchises of all time. With all that said, all games have flaws, and the point of the series is to talk about those flaws so developers can make changes to those games and fix those mistakes in future titles as well. Frankly, none of the games featured in this YouTube series is bad, just games that could have been better in some form of a way. Compared to the other games featured in this YouTube series, Dark Souls 3 is the best game we've mentioned thus far that has something wrong with it, that has something to go wrong throughout the process of the game's launch or creation. So, what went wrong in Dark Souls 3? Let's start off my talking about Phantom Range. Phantom Range in Dark Souls 3 is the worst in the entire series. The connectivity is so bad, I'm not sure if it's the servers, but when it comes down to PvP or invasions, Phantom Range becomes a noticeable problem. People landing hits on other players after image because no one or the other has a bad connection. It's just something that should not be part of the game because this game is very dependent on that combat. It's dependent on getting your hits in, getting those shots, or getting those blocks, or getting those parries and whatnot. So if someone dodges a hit with a roll or whatever, but somehow still hit because of a connectivity issue, then that kind of just takes away from the game experience. It kind of takes away from the game because you're going to get hit, but it's not your fault because that person has a bad connection, or the server are just shit that day. So they're hitting your after image, causing you to lose a PvP battle or lose an invasion. Another thing that went wrong in Dark Souls 3 is Poise. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are tired of hearing someone mention the word Poise in Dark Souls 3. As much as From Software tells us it's in the game, Poise does not exist in Dark Souls 3. It doesn't work. It doesn't work the way that it's supposed to work. It doesn't work the way it worked in previous titles. Dark Souls 2 had Poise right, and that's the way 3 should have been. But instead, it's just a non-existent feature, even though the stat is in the game, and From Software claims it works and claims that it's there. There's countless videos on YouTube talking about why Poise does not exist in Dark Souls 3, why Poise it doesn't work, and there's just countless videos about Poise. It's something that is from this game, and it's something that is a key component in the previous Dark Souls games, and something that this game lacks. There are too many bonfires in Dark Souls 3. Part of Dark Souls difficulty is being far from a bonfire, or and not knowing where the next bonfire is. Making a decision on whether or not you will push further into a location with the number of souls you have or the lack of essence flash you have, and you're worried about because you don't know if around that corner you're gonna see a gang of enemies or you're gonna see a bonfire. So there's this element of surprise and element of mystery in Dark Souls and previous Dark Souls games, and not knowing where a bonfire is kind of like added to that. But Dark Souls 3, there's so many bonfires. It's not a worry in Dark Souls 3 because bonfires all over the place. Hell, in Lothric, there's seriously a bonfire across from a bonfire because you always get one at being a boss. You have a situation like the Dragon Slayer Armorer bonfire, which is right across from the bonfire directly in front of the Grand Archives. And it's not just that, there's too many bonfires. If you go from one location and immediately there's a bonfire right around the corner from that bonfire that you just got, and it kind of just takes away from the difficulty of the game. And you think to yourself, like, how does it do that? How does it take away from the difficulty of the game? Because you have a constant area where you can go re-heal your character. You can remove status effects like poison and bleeding. You have this area you can constantly get more essence flasks, so you're not going all the way back to get to a previous bonfire and taking that hit of respawning all the enemies, because there's always a bonfire somewhere around you in Dark Souls 3. The last thing I'll mention as something that went wrong in Dark Souls 3 is the fog walls. In previous Dark Souls games, fog walls could lead to a new area, a bonfire, or a boss. In Dark Souls 3, fog walls only lead to one thing: bosses. This eliminates the mystery of what's behind the fog wall. It kills the element of surprise when you are low on essence flasks and in need of a bonfire, but you don't know if behind that fog wall you're gonna walk into a new area, a boss fight, or get that much needed that bonfire. Fog walls, hid what was in store when you progressing through the game. It wasn't that you knew it led to a boss fight. You didn't know what that fog wall was going to lead to unless you're in like your new game plus or whatever, like, or a new character. But for the most part, if it's your first playthrough, you don't know what that fog wall leads to. But in Dark Souls 3, that surprise does not exist. There is no mystery. There is no surprise. It's just, oh, this is about to be a boss fight. Let me go prepare for this because I know it's a boss. It's a boss. There's 20 million bonfires, so I just walk around the corner, reheal my essence flask, get my health back. Hell, I'll even go back to the freaking shrine real quick and pick up anything I need, like poison walls or whatnot, just so I don't get poisoned or get any kind of damage done to me that's going to affect me in the boss fight. So it makes the boss fights easier because you're not you can strategize beforehand instead of thinking of strategy while you're actually in the boss fight itself. Overall, guys, Dark Souls 3 is an amazing game. There are just things that I think From Software missed on or should fix. If not in patches for this game itself, maybe things something they can work on in future titles like Phantom Range. That's something that you should be able to patch in the current game. But if they can't, then it's something that future Dark Souls titles, if they make another Dark Souls games or anything that's similar to Dark Souls that they create, and there's something that should work. They should make sure that Phantom Range is something that's either doesn't exist or something that is like very, very rare. Same thing goes like fog walls. Fog walls need to be something that's constantly there, not something that just leads to boss fights. I love this game, but even games we love have noticeable flaws that either holds the game back from being even better than it is, or slows the game down because of the server issues and mechanical issues. Dark Souls 3 is an amazing game. I can't stress that enough, but it has flaws, and I want those flaws fixed either in patches or just future titles. I don't think they're done with the Dark Souls series. I think we're going to see more Dark Souls games. Maybe they're just taking a break from it, and I still think we may or may not see Demon Souls again with a sequel or remaster, and I think we're going to see just other games that have this Dark Soul formula, and then those games need to not have so many bonfires or whatever the equivalent to a bonfire is, or whatever the equivalent to a fog wall is. So that's it for this episode. Went wrong. Do you agree or disagree with my opinion? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I do hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Peace out.